Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NASC Preferred Supplier webinar, Brand Protection and Consumer Trust Through Packaging, the Power of Enhanced Printing. Our webinar today is being presented by Taylor Prime. I am Bill Parker, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce first Phil Iwinski, and he is a technical sales executive with Taylor. Phil is a manufacturing and sales engineer with 20 plus years experience creating and printing pressure sensitive packaging materials. Also, we have Stephen Kordrick, Senior Business Development Associate, and Stephen has spent the last 31 years in print communication space with various roles in the labels and packaging industries. He graduated from Rochester Institute of Technology, which is known for packaging and printing. And with that, I will turn it over first to Stephen.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Well, good afternoon and good morning, NASC members. Again, my name is Stephen Kodridge, and I'm a Senior Business Development Associate with Taylor. I just want to go through the agenda with you real quick. We're going to spend a brief amount of time talking about Taylor and labels and packaging and how our offering relates to animal health. The majority of our time is going to be spent by hearing Phil Iwinski talk about the education topic of the day, brand protection. And like with any discussion like this, we'll discuss next steps and questions. There are a couple different question slide prompts, so to speak. One after I go over the Taylor and labels and packaging overview, and then one at the end. And then we'll all be able to take a little breather throughout the presentation with a couple different surveys. But feel free to interact, make this collaborative, and we're very appreciative for the opportunity to be with you today. Taylor is the fourth largest graphics communications provider in North America. Some of the markets that we service are pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and animal health. The people on this call today are labels and packaging experts. We offer or produce labels as wide-ranging as what you would see on a power tool to a script label in a retail environment, and most importantly, supplement labels. I bring this up because we are supply chain experts. We leverage our buying power across all those different applications that I just mentioned so we can be the low-cost provider in the marketplace. Our goal is to not only help you manage your business as it relates to labels and packaging, but help you grow revenue as well. Think of us as more than just a manufacturer of labels and packaging. We have all the assets that are necessary from a flexo and digital print standpoint in order to provide what you need when you need it, in a very robust product line, as you'll see in a moment. But think of us as an extension of your brand and the commercialization of your product. Whether it's a new SKU or a refresh of an existing item, our goal is to provide an end-to-end solution. If you need design support, we can help you. If you need support in managing your digital assets, we can do that as well. We can also support samples and prototyping before we ever put ink down on paper or film. We are a privately held organization. Our industry has gone through a great deal of consolidation due to private equity. And at times that can cause business interruption. Our goal is to make our processes as seamless as possible so we're easy to do business with and we can meet your speed to market goals. Supplements, chews, treats, essential oils to include CBD. We understand the labels and packaging that are needed for these products in animal health. We understand the trends, and we're going to speak to one of them in a few minutes as it relates to brand protection. Best practices have been created in animal health due to years of experience in pharmaceutical and nutraceutical. We design solutions to keep the form and function of your products in mind, as well as your sustainability goals, as more and more organizations are looking for reduced and recyclable solutions when it comes to labels and packaging. Rest assured, we are material science experts, and you don't have to worry about this, as they'll walk you through every step of the way when it comes to the technical aspects of the solution. Shrink sleeves are the fastest growing segment of packaging. The reason for that is that the product allows for a 360-degree view that allows you to market that product from a content standpoint in the most flexible way possible. We've made a great deal of investments in this space and buying some of the fastest, widest equipment, again, to be the low-cost provider in this space. We have technical support resources within our manufacturing plants to work with your contract manufacturing partners, as the application equipment for shrink sleeves is far more sophisticated than in pressure-sensitive labels. But make no mistake about it, pressure-sensitive labels, folding cartons, or flexible packaging are most applicable to animal health. But as your brand evolves, we can provide other products like shrink sleeves. Flexible packaging gets a lot of attention due to the continued transition away from rigid containers. It's all about the barrier film, whether it's a liquid or a powder, the solution is going to be different. We have recently made the change, the transition away from compostable materials because of the scrap involved, which doesn't make it very sustainable. We have moved to a post-consumable recyclable film for our pouch solutions when it comes to chews and treats, because it's already been recycled and makes it far more sustainable. We are safe quality food certified. And again, we have a great deal of flexibility in the assets that we use to print these products from digital and flexible to offer you the lowest minimum order quantities in the industry. And last but not least, folding cartons. When we look at this product as it relates to animal health, we think of your essential oils and your CBD products. We have a variety of embellishments that we can produce to support these products, whether it's soft touch, metallic inks. Again, it's all about the form and function of the product and what you're looking to do from a brand recognition standpoint, as well as keeping in line with your budget. We have a variety of facilities, just like for all of our products, that are north to south, east to west, nationwide manufacture in order to offer the lowest lead times for these products. Any questions as it relates to the Taylor offering or the labels and packaging overview? We wanted to keep the information related to Taylor, no matter how applicable to animal health, brief, so we can focus more time on what we think will be of value today with our education topic, brand protection. But we can pause for a couple minutes here to answer any questions.
Stephen, really quick, is there a process for customers that are bringing an existing packaging design into your service?
Yeah, we have a pre-media group to support any existing artwork that you have. We will work with you in getting it print ready, but if you're satisfied with the design and the form and function of the product today, then we'll just focus on our abilities and being an exceptional converter and producing it in the lead time that's needed and shipping it where you need it, when you need it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, we do have one. We have a question. Do you offer shipping packages that can convert to retail display for products?
So our labels and packaging group is tied to our overall business unit that's called TVI, or Taylor Visual Impressions. And part of that group, outside the label and packaging overview I just went through, is store signage or displays. So we excel in the point of purchase space, as well as labels and packaging.
And we actually have one more question that came in. Are these pouches from China?
No. We have several different plants. Most of our pouch or flexible packaging production is done in a combination of Greenville, North Carolina, and North Mankato, Minnesota.
Hey, thanks, Stephen. I'll take over from this point. You know, when we look at the pet supplement space, we see the importance of brand protection and how important it is to maintain customer loyalty and your brand through using brand protection techniques. So what is brand protection? You know, brand protection is this idea or concept of safeguarding your brand's reputation and avoiding unauthorized use, imitation, counterfeiting of your product. And we really look to maintain your brand's authenticity and ways that you can avoid impacting your brand's value and building customer trust through your brand. And we see this as a journey. We see it as an iterative process and staying current with the changes in the packaging market so that your brand is protected. And the pillars to this cycle or this journey are in the packaging materials, packaging integrity, the product features, and color management. So we're going to take a quick survey. And have you all ever thought about brand packaging for your packaging? We'll take a few minutes to pop this up, make this a little interactive, and see if that concept is part of something that's not or is. And it's about a 50-50 split. And what we see is often overlooked and something that, because we deal with all different types of markets, we see as something, as an NASC preferred supplier, we see this as a way that we can educate and help. So the first kind of check the box that we'd like to go through is this idea of packaging materials. And, you know, what container should I use and why? And Stephen covered it a little bit already. Barrier properties are key here. We want to make sure that the barrier properties selection process, what you choose, meets the needs of your package and the contents of it. And what we like to say is you want to have a library of materials that are available to you. And in that library, it's this balance that you have to have of understanding the barrier materials and how you really can decorate your package. So you want to take these marketing considerations into consideration so that you both provide a safe product with the proper barrier properties and one that meets and can be decorated in the way that you want to decorate it. And layered on top of this is the supply chain. And so it does you no good to have all of, you know, the barrier properties, the library of materials that allow you to do this, but not have the product in hand. So having that extensive expertise in supply chain, making sure that those products are readily available to you is key. And those are really the key components of the packaging materials side. Now you move into, okay, do I choose between rigid plastic and pouches? And you see a lot of movement in the market right now going between rigid plastic and pouches. And there are pros and cons of each. And we've seen these pros and cons, and we can share our expertise in that area to make sure that you've checked the box and said, hey, have I considered with rigid plastic, you know, how much the challenge around shipping rigid plastic versus pouches, where you can be more efficient in shipping? Or does my customer base really prefer the rigid plastic container to a pouch? But to have that considered and looked at. And then it's moving into the area of SQF and CGMPs up the supply chain into your raw material suppliers. Are they looking and is their background in the space where they're considering all of the components of more than just a label, that it's more than just giving, you know, buying a label to put onto your container, but are they looking at the food safety aspects of the package and the materials? And lastly is the area of sustainability, which is a whole webinar onto its own. We at Taylor have become very versed in sustainable products, and We look at this as one that is very key to the the future. And so what we're doing and what we'd like to present is a whole other webinar topic that would cover sustainability in packaging. So in this, here are some examples. We absolutely love going through retail establishments and looking at packaging and evaluating it. On the upper left-hand corner of this, you see that we have a folding carton along the next side to a flexible package. And what you see here is evaluations of the content of the package, what's inside it, versus how it needs to be protected, how it looks on the shelf, and really how the colors look when it comes to the brand. Are the colors consistent? On the picture on the right, rigid plastic containers versus pouches, and evaluating those, looking at the shelf appeal of those, whether or not your customer who's looking at this is preferring a rigid container versus a pouch, and as I mentioned before, the benefits of both of those technologies. Bottom left-hand corner is interesting as well. You see here a printed on a container versus using a label. And so the question of, do I want my packaging to have that printed on look, or can I use a label? The questions around inventory management of something that's already printed on versus being able to change a version and update a label where you're not tied to a pre-printed package already. And on the bottom right-hand side is a good example of, the product form that you have, what type of package you want to put it in. Do you want to put it in a rigid plastic container? Do you want to put it into a pouch based on whether or not it's a chewable, if it's a tablet, or some other product form in the package? So we checked the box on packaging materials. How about packaging integrity and security? So tamper evidence jumps out here. What measures have I put in place here? Well, when you're looking at product, have I considered tamper evident materials on the product to make sure that it's not adulterated or somehow touched in the store that makes it obvious that it's been touched by another consumer? Also considered here are closures. So what we look at is, do you need something resealable? Do you need something that is child resistant, pet resistant? Ways that you protect your product, protect your brand through the closure mechanism. And then it's about product information. And am I informing on the product with the content that I need? Do I need a 2-ply label, something that will give me expanded content so I can inform the customer or meet the regulatory requirements by having the proper label that will give us the footprint to print on and be able to get the information to our consumer? So art and labeling and the way that we describe and put our information onto a label will be key to making that package look protected and have integrity. So here we have some examples of packaging integrity at the retail level. And what we like to share here is you can see the well-protected packages on the left-hand picture. Tamper evidence seals in place that really highlight the product. They highlight the tamper evidence of this product, and they clearly make this product seem safe and secure. On the right-hand side, you see a package that is totally enveloped in a shrink sleeve. So if that product were to be tampered with or touched within the retail store, you would know if someone had opened that. So it clearly presents a level of security and a level of protection of that product. Another item that I'd like to bring up regarding this is when it comes to labels and you're applying labels onto a package or rigid plastic container, you want to make sure that that label is not able to be peeled off, where someone could literally intact peel off that label and maybe place it into a location that might damage your brand or detract from the appearance of your brand. So you want to make sure adhesives are secure enough onto your package. And there are techniques like tamper-evident slits or tamper-evident substrates, where if someone does attempt to peel off the label, that the label will either tear or it will disintegrate or break up. So something to consider when it comes to your labels. We do definitely see at these higher price points, when price points start to increase, that package security is critical in maintaining the integrity of your brand. Other examples of packaging integrity here, when you have an irregularly shaped product or a small product where you might want to include more product information, a 2-ply label can come in handy, and ways to make sure that you get the product information, the product details to your customer base. And so the left-hand picture shows an example of that, a small irregularly shaped product and a 2-ply label. In the center, you see a booklet label or expanded content label. And this is another tool that you can use to get all the information that you want to get to your customer in front of them and to present it in a way. One of the things we do recommend with these booklet labels is to make sure that they're resealable, as at the shelf level, if someone opens it up, it can detract from the appearance of the label. So you want to have that label, whether it's a 2-ply label or a booklet label, to make sure or guarantee that you can reseal that label and maintain that packaging look and packaging integrity. And then on the far right side, if you want to add an instant redeemable coupon or a piece of information that you want to add on to your package, this is another technique that can be used to place onto your product and for you to add additional information or something that you want to highlight to the customer. So now we move on to the next check the box, or the area that we would see in this cycle where we'd like for you to consider. And this is in the area of the product features. This is critical to really distinguish your product. And so we ask that question, what added enhancements have I placed on my package to increase its value? And the first box, the first area that we'd like to look at is varnishes. So a varnish, a high gloss varnish, a satin varnish, a matte varnish to place on top of your product can uniquely identify your product with a certain feel and look. Added onto that can be hot stamping and cold foil. These techniques are used to embellish and bring to light, and bring to attention the product, your product, and make it unique. A new feature that's been invented at the advent of digital printing is microtext, which microtext allows imperceptible text to be embedded into your graphics, which will distinguish your product and make you know whether or not someone is attempting to counterfeit your product, as this microtext is imperceptible to the human eye and very difficult to replicate. In that same vein, serialized QR codes, where you're able to serialize your QR codes and make each package unique. This helps in the track and tracing of your product, as well as uniquely labeling each one of your packages. RFID is a whole webinar into its own. These radio frequency labels allow for you to Track and trace, provide analytics of your product, help you manage your inventory better. And we'd love to share more about RFID with you and its applications with your products. Watermarks, invisible inks, raised fonts. These are all different ways that you can add these tools, these techniques to your product, making them stand out and be unique. Cast and cure is one you may not have heard of. This is a technique where you lay down a varnish after you've printed a product onto your product, and then you emboss onto that varnish a embossed film with the pattern, and then you cure that, and then you pull back that film, and behind what's left is a textured varnish that is now holographic or textured, and it provides that look as you're walking down the retail shelf of a shimmering or a holographic look to your package. So this is a tool and technique that can be used to really distinguish your packaging and make it unique. In that same vein, laminates with textures can be used. You can add those onto your product. And also spouted pouches, which has really caught particularly the pet supplements market by storm, where you can reseal a package and use it for package protection, as well as easy dispensing for your customer base. So here are the examples of some of those techniques. On the upper left-hand side, we have the variable production, where we have that bird that's seen there can be a different color on every package if you'd like, or you can make it a kind of like a series and make that way to make your brand stand out. In the center, we have Mosaic, which is a tool in digital printing where you can vary the background on every single package, and that way that particular package will be unique, and you create this unique package for every single item that you've printed. Serialized numbering, tracking your package. You can put an individual number on each package, something to be considered. And then the bottom left-hand, that micro text I was talking about, where you can, around the barcode there on the bottom right, they've embedded some micro text in there, which makes it makes it very difficult to imitate, and as in the competitive pet supplement space, incorporating something like micro text is a way for brand security. Collage is similar to Mosaic. It's I liken it to being able to tell a story with your package. You can have these packaged side by side, and uniquely they show, in this case, birds flying across a landscape, but you can use that to vary your package and make it unique. And QR codes. QR codes are either serialized or static methods to add additional information to your brand, get your brand to be more recognized out on the product shelf. I talked a little bit about watermarks and invisible inks. These are all methods to enhance your brand. And one of these options here with watermarks, you can put invisible inks down and have things that are able to be seen only under a UV light, or you can actually customize and have a customized ink that's added to your product that is unique to you, and only you will you with the optical reader are able to evaluate it and know that, yes, this product is mine. So using a taggant ink is another means to prevent counterfeiting and tampering. And I mentioned the spouted pouches before. like to highlight those. This type of package is very growing at an incredible rate. Shelf appeal from it is high. You're able to print, side to side on the package, and then you have this reusable container that you can secure, and customer experience is that this product is well protected and safe, and gives the appearance of something that is aesthetically pleasing as you're walking through a retail establishment. Time for survey number 2. Okay, so survey number 2 says, what enhancements would your brand benefit from adding? And we have some of these listed here. Very good. Yep, survey results coming in. And the idea of microtext is standing out a little bit, and that one there, what's intriguing about that is the cost to add microtext is very low, and so it is a unique way to protect your brand at a low cost. All right, so the last pillar we'd like to cover is in the area of color management. And I liken color management as one of the keys to loyalty with your customer. I know a lot of us, when we go out and look at brands, we recognize that color, and we recognize either the shape of the container or the color of the container. And a brand that maintains its consistency in that color does protect itself, and it helps significantly with brand loyalty. And one of the tools that you're looking for with color management is this ability to go across different platforms, whether it's your folding cartons, whether it's your pouches or your labels, and to consistently replicate and reproduce that same color in different lots, batches. And whether the techniques of G7, color logics, other ways that you maintain color management, this is really key to keeping your brand safe. Incorporated with that is this idea of version control, where you're managing your versions and making sure that versions are consistently being updated, so that there's no inconsistencies across your brand with your version. But overall package appearance, overall look of your package, and the consistency of it really is driven by this pillar of color management. And we liken to see this whole cycle of going through and iteratively going through and maintaining your brand awareness, your brand protection, through a process of knowing the alternatives that are out there and constantly reviewing them. Here's a good example of good color management. We know in the print industry, printing pastels are particularly difficult. And so when you go to a package that is printed with flexible packaging next to, here you see cans on labels on cans, you see the consistency across this brand. And it's really key that from a retail shelf perspective, that you're able to maintain that consistency, and that's done. Many of these types of printing are done on different pieces of equipment. So technically, the challenge is there, where you're printing one item on one piece of equipment, another on a different piece of equipment. and really matching that color and making sure that it's consistent across all different platforms. So those are the pillars that we've covered of brand protection. I know there's a lot of content there that I'm sure there are a lot of questions that have been generated. I'm available to answer questions at the following phone number, email address, and would be, just any time. Being a member of NASC, if packaging questions come up, we would love to entertain them and help you out to assist in meeting your packaging goals. With that, I'll turn it over to Bill.
The idea of tamper evident as opposed to tamper resistant or child resistant, is there a solution that covers both, or are they going to be separate issues?
They're like, when it comes to closures and when it comes to actually the packaging materials, this has become a question in the space in particular about getting materials that are not only, child resistant, but would be pet resistant, where you would want a pet to not be able to chew through a package or to access a package easily. So I would say, yeah, I think both between tamper evidence and resistance, there are these two separate categories that we like to evaluate based on the package and the construction of the package.
Do you experience more product breakdown using pouches versus rigid containers?
Both of the tools, like anything, as far as the evolution of pouches and the evolution of rigid plastic containers, they both continue to get better and better. And as Stephen had mentioned too, around recyclability, so you throw that into the mix as well. But yeah, depending on suppliers, there've been just the challenge of getting a consistent supply in the package and avoiding product, package breakdown. But I think trends in the market are more consistent packaging and better packaging and more, I'll say, sustainable packaging is definitely trending in the right direction. And we would love to answer questions if people are having trouble with their particular packaging supply. We'd love to help, in any way we can to answer some of those questions.
And if it's an issue with performance around a pouch, as I mentioned before, it's all about the barrier film. So if you don't have an existing spec, then being able to get a sample so we can do the breakdown of it from a material science standpoint, work with our raw material providers. And again, as I stated a couple times, keeping the form and function of your product in mind and how it needs to perform, as well as your sustainability goals. So samples will go a long way in us trying to enhance the solution from a protection standpoint.
What are your feelings on clear cutouts showing product inside? Is there an added value to that?
So we offer both custom solutions as it relates to the pouch film, as well as a blank solution. There are always going to be businesses that want that clear look, and it's actually a stock product for us. And then you can still have that clear look and yet still enhance it by having content on there, by putting a custom label on the front and back. Typically a nutritional facts label would be on the back, but we don't only get involved with custom pouch solutions, but we have a blank plus custom label solution to give you that clear look. So I think it's just all in how you're looking to present that product and getting it from shelf to register, so to speak.
And you had talked about packaging types that were trending. And you also talked about sustainability. Are there types of packaging solutions that lend themselves more to sustainability, or types of packaging that would not be sustainable at all that you try to steer folks away from?
So in the pressure sensitive label space, your best bet to meet your sustainability goals is try to reduce the material, the thickness of the face stock. Pressure sensitive labels are made up of three components, face stock, adhesive, and liner. So you're trying to reduce the amount of material that's being used. You have solutions with adhesives where you can use a wash away adhesive to make that packaging more sustainable. And then the flexible packaging space with the pouches for your chews and treats. Again, we have moved away from compostable because of the scrap involved and are using that post-consumable recyclable film. So flexible packaging and pouches are going to be on the higher end of the spectrum of sustainability than pressure sensitive labels. But again, it's all in the form and function of the product. So if it's a supplement, your labels, if you're not printing directly on the container, is going to be your best bet. And we'll look to those wash away adhesives as well as being able to reduce the material. As far as flexible packaging, that is the biggest trend right now, and moving away from the rigid containers that Phil spoke a fair amount about. And you even see some aftermarket auto companies that get involved with a product very different from what we're talking about, animal health, but Valvoline uses a spouted pouch for an oil product. So that kind of shows you there the evolution of packaging as it relates to sustainability goals.
Yeah, and with the security around these pouches, as Stephen was alluding to, Valvoline with an oil inside of that pouch, the amount of just the quality of the pouches and what's available out there has improved tremendously.
As far as completion time for jobs, does that stay consistent regardless of location of the customer?
Fairly consistent. The folding carton slide was 7 to 10 days. We really do have a nationwide solution there with facilities as wide ranging as Lake Mary, Florida, in the Orlando area, Fridley, Minnesota, and Las Vegas. And again, low minimum order quantities, and of course, producing something digital with no plates versus flexo lends to a quicker lead time. Typically, we can produce a label in 4 to 5 days digital. If we don't have an existing die, then we're looking at a longer lead time if we're producing it on a traditional flexo press. And we also, Bill, have the opportunity, just to let all your members know, to create a vendor managed inventory program. So once we understand historical usage and understand material needed and the very best print medium, meaning the assets that we have that are going to allow us to be the low cost provider, we then can produce maybe a quarterly run, and all our manufacturing facilities act as warehouses so that we can ship that product as needed. And the good news with that is, from a cash flow standpoint, you're being billed not as we produce, but as we ship.
Excellent. The question came up, are your pouches from China? And of course, you said the answer was no. The follow-up to that, are there materials that are coming over from China in a large amount? And is that something that folks need to look out for?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of in the animal health space, there's a lot of branding as it relates to, made in the US, and wanting to have packaging that supports that. So our pouches, per the Greenville, North Carolina, and North Mankato, Minnesota facility, are produced in the States. There might be some situations where material does come from overseas, We do have those strategic partnerships if necessary. A lot of that is driven by budget, but we work with all the largest raw material providers that are here in the U.S. and get that material from the U.S. But we have for all the products mentioned, whether it be shrink sleeves or flexible packaging, we have bought material overseas. But we look to buy domestically since we're producing it domestically, and it's easier for us to manage the supply chain that way, not have to rely on a container coming over the pond, so to speak, into a U.S. port.
We don't have other questions coming in, and so I think we can go ahead and take this time to close out this webinar. I just want to say on behalf of NASC, would like to thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, and a really big thank you to Taylor. This was just a great content, and like you guys said, there's a lot of other questions that can grow out of what we're talking about. Again, thank you all for attending, and thank you again to Taylor for putting this information on. It was very informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.